everyone, this is Mary from SVG Cuts, and I'm here today with a really cute, fun little project for St. Patrick's Day. I think this would make an adorable decoration. Of course, you can make it with kids, or older kids could even make it themselves. So whether you want to cut it out by hand, you can do that, or of course, if you have a personal electronic cutting machine, you can use that to cut the pieces out. So either way, whichever method you go with, you're going to end up with the pieces to put this together, which I will show you how in just a minute. So the reason that we made it nice and simple so that you could cut it by hand is because we were asked by some of the awesome creative people at Martha Stewart Living to make something nice and cute and simple that people could cut out by hand. So they wanted us to come up with a leprechaun trap, and I actually sat and thought for a little while, gosh, if I wanted to trap a leprechaun, how would I do it? So I've seen a lot of really cool leprechaun traps, and they're all different. There's all different methods of trying to trap a leprechaun. So for this one, he obviously goes up the little ladder. He sees the coin that's very enticing dangling there. He goes in and he falls in through the hole into the bottom. And then hopefully when you wake up in the morning, you have a leprechaun trapped in your box. And if not, you can always try again next year, and maybe he will have left you some chocolates or something inside. We're so excited to be working with some of the creative people at Martha Stewart who asked us to put this together. And the reason that we are is thanks to you guys and your votes for us in the Martha Stewart American Made contest, which we won thanks to you. And we were able to go down to New York City and attend the awards and meet Martha and tour her offices and meet a lot of her crafty, creative staff. It was just a complete dream come true. So I've been a fan of Martha since almost as long as I can remember. My mom's been a magazine subscriber since day one, and my mom is very creative, and she incorporated a lot of Martha's projects and tips and ideas into my childhood. So I feel like both of them helped me become who I am today with all my crafty creativeness. So if you love tips like, from how to make chicken broth to how to pack a suitcase to really just anything that can make your life a little more fun and easier and more creative, definitely head over to the Martha Stewart Living YouTube channel and subscribe, because I love watching those videos and I'm sure you will too. So whether you're cutting this out by hand or using an electronic cutting machine, I'm going to show you how everything goes together. I've got all my supplies and pieces ready to go, so let's get started. So for those of you that don't have an electronic cutting machine, you want to go ahead and print out your patterns on your cardstock. So there's a couple sheets of cream color, a medium green, and a dark green, which is all laid out for you. So you can go ahead and print those out. And of course, if you do have an electronic cutting machine, you can let the machine do all the cutting for you, which is obviously nice and quick and easy. So if you've printed these out and you're going to cut them out by hand, you can do whatever is most comfortable for you. If you want to use scissors or a craft knife, really whatever works best. And obviously if it's a straight line and you want to use scissors, that's okay too. So you just want to go ahead and cut all of these out. And the cream colored one shows some openings here, which are dotted lines, and you just want to cut that out inside, slightly inside the dotted line so that you don't see the dotted line. So at this point, you've got all your pieces cut out, and you want to see where to score and fold them. And so, of course, if you're not using an electronic cutting machine, you will have to score these folded areas. And I've got a nice scoring tool here from Martha Stewart Crafts, which is nice and handy for all my scoring that I do. And you can pull up your scoring guide, which is just a one-page PDF. You can either look at it, on your computer, or if you want to print it, you can. And it shows exactly where to score and fold each shape. So as you can see, this shape is already scored and folded and ready to go. So I've got the rest of my pieces also scored and ready to go. So just in case you're not familiar with scoring, it's just a matter of kind of pressing down along one of these lines with a nice little bone folder, which comes with this scoring tool. And it just creates a little area for the paper to fold nicely and smoothly. And if you don't have a scoring tool, I've seen people also just take, on top of a flat surface, just take a ruler and lay it down and hold it down carefully and just use a tool along the side of a ruler. Now I've got the two pieces that make up the main part of the building here, but before I start to put those together, I want to flip them over, and at this point, if I want to put anything behind my windows, now is a good time to do it. So if you want to cut out some rectangles of vellum, or if you have some kind of nice punch, it doesn't have to be exactly the same punch here, but I've got the Trellis Loop Trim Deep Edge Punch by Martha Stewart Crafts. And it looked kind of Celtic to Leo and I, so we thought it would be a fun one to use for this project. So to use it behind the windows, all I did was punch it out 4 times, and then I trimmed it so that there's just a little bit extra so that I can glue it like this right behind the window. And then when you see it from the front, it looks cute. So go ahead and put anything that you want behind your windows, and then we'll put the shutters on. I've got all 8 of my shutters folded in half here, and I'm just gluing each of them on either side of each window. And I just want the folded edge facing towards the window so that they kind of pop out like cute little shutters. So go ahead and put all 8 of your shutters in place. Now I've got my shutters in place and my cute little window decorations. So on these pieces, I want to make sure that these bottom tabs are actually folded up towards me. And then we can go ahead and glue the 2 of them together. So to do that, I just want to put a nice little thin layer of glue on the side and just glue that in place. And then I just want to do the same thing on the other side. So again, I'm just doing the same thing on the other side with a nice little thin, even layer of glue, being sure to go all the way out to the corners of those tabs so that we get a nice hold. Okay. Now let's take a minute and put together the roof so that we can put it on top of the house. So the first thing I want to do is print out my little sign, if you want to use the little sign here that I've designed. And you just want to cut that out with scissors or a craft knife or whatever you are comfortable with. If you are comfortable with print and cut with your electronic cutting machine and your software, there is a printable in this project's extras folder for you, but I think it definitely works to just cut it out by hand. If it's not scientifically perfect with a microscope, I don't think anyone's gonna notice, and I think you can still probably catch a leprechaun even if it's not completely perfect. Just do your best and cut that out. And then you just want to take your little sign here and glue this right on the front, of course with this little tab not getting glued to the white part. Now the next thing you want to do is take your little roof here, and we just want to glue this sign by just putting some glue on this bottom tab. And then we just want to position it. It can go wherever you want. I think it looks cute right here, kind of to the side a little bit. And as you can see, this little tab back here is still loose. We don't want to glue that down just yet. And now we can take our roof panels and glue those into place. And I embossed these with an embossing folder in my embossing machine to add some texture, which looks kind of nice. So if you want to do that, you can, or whatever floats your boat. So go ahead and glue those down. So I've got my roof into place here, and it's starting to dry. So I'm just going to flip it over and lay it down on my flat work surface here and push down on those tabs from the other side so that I get a nice flat, even hold of glue. So now the next thing we can do is take our little sign and just bend it over. It doesn't have to be a certain distance or certain amount, just a little square at the end. And then put a little dab of glue. And then you want your sign to be pretty much straight up and down. So wherever your little tab kind of hits is good, and then if you want to reach in with something and push it down as the glue dries, that is perfect. So the next thing we want to do is put together the lid, and that is made up of these two pieces. And if you have cut yours by hand, these will actually be separate, and these two are a piece and then these two are a piece. So you want to go ahead and glue those together to form two long strips like this, which we will then glue together end to end. So we've also got these two shapes, and one is slightly larger than the other one. That's the top. The smaller one is the lid, or the liner, which will go on at the end. So we want to put some glue on this side tab and glue these together. And then we just want to do the same thing on the other side. So again, just a nice little line of glue going all the way out to the corners, and glue that together. So the next thing we want to do is essentially put glue all over these tabs and put this lid into place, which again is the slightly larger one. That is the lid top, and that's going to get glued right on top. But if you want to be a little more precise about it, I think it's nice if you can start with one tab to kind of anchor it into place and get it lined up and glued down. And then go ahead and jump over to the opposite side and glue that into place. And then next we can glue these two in place, and then you can flip it over and lift these up and glue the final four corners into place. Now I've got my lid all glued together, and the next thing I want to do is push my house up through the bottom. So before I do that, I want to just kind of temporarily close all these little shutters on my house, and then I want to just carefully push the house up through the hole in the lid. So it might get kind of stuck on these little shutters a little bit, but just kind of work with it and push them down, and before you know it, it will be sliding into place. So there we go, and you can open your shutters back up. And then the next thing you want to do is kind of bend these tabs away and put some glue inside. Just a nice little line of glue kind of close to the edge. And then you can bend that up and then just work your way around with all four tabs. So all four of those tabs are glued down, and now you just want to take your liner piece and glue that in. So you just want to cover one side of it with a nice thin layer of glue and glue that right into place. Now the next thing we want to do is put our cute little gold coin inside our house hanging down. So the way that I did that was I just have a couple of foil covered chocolate gold coins, and I took some, like a sticky square. It's like some nice adhesive that's super sticky, but really just any kind of maybe double-sided tape or something is going to work great. So I've got some stickiness in there, and I've got about 9 or 10 inches of twine, which is way more than I need, but it's just nice to have extra, and then you can cut it off. And then I want to place the other one on here. You can put them flush exactly with each other. I think it's kind of cute if you can sort of see the other one behind it, but whatever you want to do is totally cute. And then you just want to kind of position it so that it's hanging sort of right in front of the door. And I've got up inside the roof, I've got my thumb with my twine kind of feeling exactly where I want to affix it, and that would be right here. So I want to put actually just some tape right here. So I've just got some Scotch tape. I'm going to stick some on there and I'm just going to pop it right up inside the roof. So next for the box bottom, it is pretty simple. It's just made up of these two pieces here and then two long pieces. And now if you've cut this out by hand, you will have four pieces here actually, which are these two sides and then a long side and a short side. So you can look at your document and see that you want to put these two short sides, glue those together to form this. And then of course the same thing with the other two to form this. Then we just want to go ahead and glue those together side to side with a nice little thin even layer of glue. And I find that the darker the paper I'm using, the more careful I have to be with my glue because it really shows through if I've got too much on there and it's coming out the sides. So we just want to do the same thing on the other side. And then just like we did before with the lid, we basically want to cover those tabs with glue and then take the smaller, the larger of these two shapes, and that's going to get glued right on. If you want, you can do them all at once, or if you want to be more meticulous, you can start with just one, glue that into place to anchor it, and then kind of work your way around. So then you want to take the smaller of those two shapes, which is the only one left, and just cover that with glue on the back side and glue that in to add some stability and cover up those tabs and finish it off. So the next thing I want to do is put together my cute little ladder. And however you want to do it totally works if you have a different idea in mind. Here's how I did mine. I got 1/4 inch square dowels from the craft store. And square just means that it's, got four sides. Obviously, it's not round. And then I just cut that into two 6-inch long pieces. And this is actually balsa wood, so it's really, really easy to cut and really kind of delicate, which makes it kind of easier to work with, but also, since it is so delicate, it can be, you have to be careful with it. So if you want to then kind of lightly sand where you just used the craft saw, and this little saw is just a craft saw that I got at the craft store. It was probably about $8 by the wood department. And if you don't have one of those, I think like an old steak knife does in a pinch, which is what I used to use before I got the saw. So the next thing you want to do is take your 1/8 inch dowel and cut it into 1.5 inch pieces into 5 of them. So I've got, there's one, and that's 1.5 inches long. So we want 5 of those. So go ahead and cut 4 more. Now the next thing that I want to do is mark 5 spots for the rungs, which are evenly, more or less evenly spaced out. So I'm just laying this down on my grid here, and each of these squares is 1 inch. So I've just easily been able to mark out 5 little spots. So I'll go ahead and do that with the other one too. And since we're going to cover this with paint, it kind of covers up any little flaws or anything. So the next thing I want to do is kind of make those holes a little bit bigger with one of these rungs. And I'm not pressing all the way down to my work surface. I'm leaving a little room there. I'm just gonna put a little dab of some of my all-purpose craft glue in there. And this is not necessarily wood glue. If you've got some wood glue handy, that's cool. I don't think it needs to be super duper sturdy. And then I will just put all 5 of those rungs in place and give it kind of a moment to dry here. And then I'm going to take my leftover dowel here and do the same thing, poking a hole. And again, once you kind of cover it with paint and the paint kind of fills in any little cracks, it looks fine and dandy, good enough for a leprechaun to crawl up it. So I'm just going to put a little dab of glue in each little hole like I did before, and then just carefully kind of get each rung into each little hole. So I'm kind of just lining them up as I just gently squeeze it. And if you're using a balsa wood dowel, like me, it is pretty delicate, so you do want to be careful. And once you've got it in position, you can go ahead and let it sit and dry a little bit so that it's not so fragile. So here is my finished ladder, and I thought it would be super cute to make it gold and glittery because it goes with the whole leprechaun theme. So I found some really fun Martha Stewart Crafts acrylic paints at the craft store, and that's what I used. I just put gold on first and then I used the glitter afterwards, and it looks super cute. So finally, just for some fun embellishments, you can get creative and put whatever you want on your house. I thought it would look really cute with this moss that I got at the craft store to make it look a little more natural. And I also had some fun with some bling up here under the sign and some pretty sparkly, sticky gemstones. And then I used a hot glue gun to put a row of sequins that I got at the craft store around the bottom of the box, as well as this pretty punch that I used in the windows. I also used around the edge. And again, I think any kind of punch like this would look really cool. I've seen several that I think would look awesome, not just this one. And underneath that punch, I also put a strip of glitter tape just to add some more fun sparkles. So there you have it, super cute, super fun project, and I think you can adapt it to any holiday or season or whatever you want. So have a lot of fun, and if you make this, be sure and take a picture and share it with us on our social media and with Martha on her social media so that all of our creative communities can all check it out and enjoy it. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time, and happy crafting.
Learn more by visiting www.svgcuts.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and watch all of our crafty videos on YouTube. It's a world of crafty content with you in the middle. svgcuts.com, inspiring you to live creatively and beautifully.